Hello, 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 hello. Uh, Give me 1 second. I'm just troubleshooting. Let me know if you see me. Okay. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see
Okay,
you.
great. Okay, I'll start then.
Oh, I can't see you on the actual thing. I was just wondering if it's working.
Oh, yes. So not on the actual thing, but on, I think I'm live right now on the Hyde
Okay.
Park Art Center one.
Let me go onto the Hyde Park Art Center
Okay,
page
let me
and see.
know. Oh my gosh, so my friend texted and said I'm live right now.
So you're live right now. They can see you?
Yes, but it's under the Hyde Park Art Center thing, I think.
Okay. Hold on.
Okay.
I will go on there.
Thank you, folks, for tuning in. We're just troubleshooting because the original link that I had put on Instagram wasn't working properly. So now I'm just live on Hyde Park Art Center channel. So just give me about 5 minutes. Okay. Oh, it seems like you're getting it. Okay. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me let people know that I'm actually live on Hyde Park Art Center's channel and not the link that I sent. Okay, awesome. It seems like a couple of people are tuned in. Hopefully, more people can find the link. Those who are currently on, please feel free to share people this link. I'm trying to kind of do both, but I only have a little bit of time. I'm here till 3:30, and I'm a little bit behind, so I just wanted to kind of begin. Thank you again for tuning in with me on this Sunday. It's quite sunny here in Chicago. I'm in my dining room. Basically, today I'm going to be doing a live reading of a piece that I wrote called Un espejo de feria. The piece, I didn't even introduce myself. My name is Joelle Mercedes. I'm an artist based here in Chicago. Today I'll be reading a piece called Un espejo de feria, which originally published in Recodo. Recodo is an online publication that is dedicated to publishing creative nonfiction. They are based in Ecuador. And I wrote the piece in English with like sort of a rough titled Funhouse Mirror. And the piece, Un espejo de feria, was actually translated by a dear friend and translator artist, Cristobal Guerra. And Cristobal actually, right now, as I'm doing this live, is live on their Instagram feed. Their Instagram is Farifo, and they're currently live doing exactly what I'm doing, but in Spanish. So I'll be reading the text in English, and they'll be reading the text in Spanish. The goal of today is sort of to give people two different options on how to take in this particular text. We want to sort of have one option that kind of involves me, who was the writer, and then another option that involves my friend Cristobal, who's a translator. Cristobal is an artist and translator extraordinaire, also a dear friend who is dedicated to many different things. They do work in experimental video, documentaries, also is very interested in language, and has a really fascinating translating practice. And so I felt like Cristobal will be perfect to kind of help me do this, which is a process that began in July and sort of ended early this year in February. So again, thank you to Recodo, thank you to Cristobal. The piece began as a response to a concert that I went to in July here in Chicago at the Empty Bottle. The concert had Combo Chimbita playing. They were touring for their album Ahomale, and that's how the piece began. I won't tell you too much more, but I want to say thank you. And again, this has been sort of a delayed process. So those folks who are tuned in, please share the link with your friends. I'm currently live on YouTube Live for Hypercard Center. So I'll begin. Un espejo de feria. Combo Chimbita began with the song Sola, a melodic grip made up of A's, I's, E's, a tongue stretched entirely, reaching for the roof of the mouth and the tips of the incistors. The word sola is traditionally understood to mean a state of solitude or isolation. Yet, within this song, the definition spreads into a place of intimacy, a site that lives inside of a thrust along the walls of our vocal cords. Carolina Oliveros, the lead vocalist, sings, and now I would love for you all to repeat after me. A, le, la, le, e, e. A, le, la, le, e, e. A, le, la, le, e. A, le, la, le, e. Le, a, le, la, le, le, a, le, la, le, le, a, le, la, le, a, le, la, le, a, le, la, le, le. A, le, la, le, le. A, le, la, le, la, le, a, le, la, le, a, le, la, le, le, a, le, la, 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 le. Le, a, le, la, le, e. Le, a, le, la, le, a, le, la, le, le. In my head at this moment, I recite these sounds, focusing carefully on all the letters. I reconfigure the letters a couple of times and arrive at a lacking. I insert the letter ñ, a sound that activates the inside of my nostrils, producing a heat, and forcing out the word leña, wood burning away all the consonant sounds, leaving a vibrant orange smoke in the atmosphere. I felt my serotonin levels increase as Combo Chimbita moved from song to song. The temperature of the room caused a cooling sweat to run down my body, closing the distance between the other audience members and me. A flood began to form with our collective perspiration. Each time Carolina went to a heightened place with her vocals during the performance, I took out my phone to capture the moments. I noticed everyone around me doing the same. The cameras on the phones caught images of the stage, people's thumbs, other people's screens, and moments of intermission. The smartphones as portals alter the venue into a funhouse mirror where all the images captured through these devices enlarged, flipped, and distorted the actual venue. The operatic vocals also created a swelling of the space, pushing my body into a malleable spirit within these moments of active listening. My organs and flesh felt loose. They became charged through the electricity technology around me. The synthesizers emanate static, drone, and keyboard rhythms. The microphone catches all the tiny acoustics of the space and people's breathing patterns. A heavy pressure squeezed my body and directed my awareness towards the lyrics currently being delivered. I zoomed into Carolina's mouth as she sang Te Vi. This recorded document will be used in the future to measure out all the yearning expressed in the lyrics. This incredible desire to have someone wait for you, to have someone never leave your side. Was this someone, something beyond a human's love and affection? Was it us as we stood together in this performance? Was it our ancestors as they stood with us during the show? After this moment, I turned off my phone. In astrology, Cancer in season is situated in the beginning of the summer if you're located in the northern hemisphere. This astrological sign is ruled by the moon and represents care, the past, history, intuitions, and crustaceans. Cancer is a constant return to the structures that establish our emotional foundations. On July 8th, 2019, the moon cycle was on the cusp of a waxing crescent and first quarter moon. Around midnight that evening, the moon produced a strawberry hue in the night sky. During these two moon phases, one has the inclination to charge forward and build new structures against all resistance. This was the luminescent night that I witnessed Combo Chimbita on tour for their album Ahomale at the Empty Bottle in Chicago, Illinois. Ahomale, or Yoruba term, according to Combo Chimbita, is a character that holds the power to communicate ancestral wisdom through music. A knowledge that encourages a trust within the self against all odds, all fears. Ahomale is a parable on the journey through spiritual awareness. From the band's perspective, This trajectory is one of harmonious tension. Together, Combo Chimbita and I share a diasporic experience. The band resides in New York City with roots from Colombia. I am originally from the Bronx, New York City, currently residing in Chicago. New York City is an archipelago surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean, where New York City, it's an archipelago surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean, sorry about that, where hybrid identities are formulated through the process of migration, immigration, appropriation, exchange, displacement, refusal, and unity. As I hold origins in New York City, I also hold lineage and history in the Dominican Republic. All of these places that form our intersections contain a large population of Afro-descendant people who heavily influence the cultural makeup of these locales. These influences are witnessed strongly within the music, language, and food. As I reflect on this poignant experience, I simultaneously examine my relationship to magic. This research brings me back to my childhood, living in a 3-bedroom apartment in the South Bronx with my sister and abuela. This home was saturated in the sensorial. The kitchen created a smell of garlic, orange peel, and burnt sugar. Its floors were a marble checkered pattern, hiding a small tooth mark left from my sister's hazardous fall off the washing machine near the bathroom. Objects within this home were arranged in a meticulous order, which only made sense to my abuela. Objects in the home include altar on a table, altar on the floor, 2 porcelain elephants, shiny porcelain horses, scary porcelain clowns, floral curtains, fake fruits, heavily used Morden pestle, rocking chair, plastic cover couches, gingham tablecloths, framed image of baby in nature, painted portrait of the sisters, Greca, landscape painting of the Caribbean. This home held over 20 spirited objects, each becoming activated by touch. These animated objects helped to build my first playground by imagining things beyond my foresight. I would secretly play with Barbies in Abuela's apartment. I combed their hair and changed their outfits and developed narratives and aspirations for their lifestyles. For a whole year in elementary school, my abuela's room was my art studio. I hung up finished pages from my coloring books on the tenuous walls of the bedroom, creating slightly off grid patterns. I burnt tissue paper to see how big a fire could grow. This resulted in almost ruining the floor. My dream world during this time period was extremely monumental. I dreamt of wild snakes in large fields, of greenery, mountainous, moist landscapes, and being followed by black bears. These gestures were essentially studies into navigating the harsh realities of the external world. I watched my abuela pray by the altars every day at least twice. I held so much respect for this ritual as a child. I studied her brown hands over the objects and witnessed her timely hand gestures after each prayer. I study the objects on her altar and wonder about their purpose, materiality, arrangement, fibers, density, aroma, and permanence. I view the objects on her altar as sacred and private. I concluded that these objects and rituals were unique to my family alone as a child. Until I accompanied my abuela to a botanica. Botanicas are magic shops where an array of different items can be purchased. Items spanning from herbs, candles, talismans, and spells. These spaces require attendees to have a prior knowledge of what they contain inside before they enter. Each botanica has its own vibe and specific cultural focus. The ones that I attended with my abuela were usually combine knowledge from Afro-Caribbean religions and Catholicism. Botanicas can serve as reflective surfaces, revealing the refractions, shadows, and histories of their attendees. There are places that should be handled with care, and voyeuristic behavior should be left at the door. On several occasions, a remedy made from a mixture of salts was purchased by my family to help soothe my eczema. This medicine requires strict instructions that consider time, a liquid dissolving process, solar power, a measurement of 3 distinct salt types, and the bearing of an intense saline aftertaste. These instructions should always be followed accordingly. If altered, the medicine won't work. The process of multiple steps relies strongly on patience, trust, and the abandonment of control. A cusp is an imaginary line that divides or a point where two curves unite, intersect. A location where a threshold, boundary, continuation, or transformation can occur. Often, being on the cusp could be confused with the liminal state. However, the state of on the cusp is closer to being on the verge, an experience that shifts a direction, tantalizing and encouraging a release. I am currently entering into my cusp to find some closure. This space, a placeholder for a potential, lies inside my mouth. Each one of my molar teeth has 4 cusps. My canines each have 1. I multiply these numbers with the amount of molars and canine teeth inside of me. It equals 52 different cusps, 52 chances to endure a threshold, 52 ways of transfiguring. Carolina's voice, in its multifaceted nature, spans from an incredible storm, a throbbing lullaby, to a continuous movement of waves, breaking the fourth wall over and over and over again. This force invites the listener to engulf in all of its audio textures, propelling us to reckon with our core. The lyrics to Esto es Real, 8,100 milligrams, pushes us to an ecstatic state, where movement is our voice. Please consider the following questions. Does our measurement of reality start with a soft, intentional body scan and breath? Is the notion of destiny solely based on faith? Is it a nebulous concept? I continue to weave together my memories no matter how unreliable they might be. I use the teeth marks as anchors and arrive at another destination. Thank you all. That was the text. I only have a couple of minutes, but I wanted to say thank you. I know I had a little bit of technical difficulties in the beginning, so thank you for bearing with me. Again, the text is titled Un espejo de feria, which roughly translates to Funhouse Mirror. It was written by me. I started the process in July, and it was a response to a concert I saw that Como Chimbita gave live at the Empty Bottle here in Chicago. Cristobal Guerra, who currently is on their live feed on Instagram under Ferifos, read the Spanish version. Cristobal also translated this piece for me. And it was a process that took many different months. I mean, a lot of months, actually. It began roughly in July when I saw, like, a little bit after seeing the show. And then it was a back and forth that required a ton of different emails, questions that I asked myself in terms of what I wanted to share, ideas around how translation is sort of complicated thing. And so the idea of doing this was to sort of invite Cristobal, who really worked with me closely in translating, by translating this text, but also closely through this process. Like the beginning of writing it in English was also sending it to Cristobal and sort of creating a dialogue about certain words that were choice and the experience itself. I wanted to do this today because I wanted to kind of destabilize this idea of writer and translator and kind of have people choose what they wanted to listen to, and also realize that language becomes a thing in the sense that, like, there's some people in my life that might be interested in the text who don't know Spanish, or some people who might be interested in the text who don't know English. So how can I sort of invite both people to kind of, or all those people to kind of be a part of this process, but then also challenge this notion of things being finished, especially when it comes to translating, when there's like a million ways to translate something. And the idea of the exact translation is just sort of impossible. So really trying to think about what kind of sensation or feeling we wanted from the English text to be in the Spanish text. And I really want to give thanks to Cristobal for that process, doing that process with me. And it's something that we're still kind of talking about. And hopefully we can do something live like this in the future. Again, the piece was published in Recodo, which is an online publication out of Ecuador. Recodo dedicates to publishing work that is creative nonfiction. They're fantastic. The piece was published in February. And then the band, Combo Chimbita, is a group that is currently in New York, and they're fantastic. I highly recommend listening to their album. Mahomale is really, really a special album, really a gift, filled with energy and might. And again, I know that right now a lot of us are in our homes or sort of like behind closed doors. So I'm very grateful that y'all took the time to kind of be with me in this experience that feels kind of experimental. And I knew that there will be like some like technological things that will occur. And so I'm really happy for those who tuned in. And I hope, as I mentioned via some of the posts that I had online to kind of promote this, I hope that folks are finding some moments of slowness and tenderness through this whole quarantine situation. And yeah, that's all for me. Thank you again. Bye.